Okay, let's do some stories. And I'm on ChannelOneNews.com. The one is the digit one. Very disheartening news. Medina Redco Flats fire destroys 150 structures, claims young woman's life. Other stories you'll find on ChannelOneNews.com. Utility tariff hike risks crippling industry, driving unemployment. That's according to INSEA. Power crisis in home businesses. Businesses, residents reel under unstable supply. The Mamprugu overlord has commended Mahama's efforts to restore peace in Bawku. Newly appointed PURC board chair, Professor Thomas Akapza, passes away. Other trending stories. Ashaiman Afenya Road, motorists express excitement over ongoing maintenance works. Volta region residents cry for action as tidal waves continue to swallow homes. Families, chiefs frustrated over unresolved murder cases in northern region. Why Ghana must deepen its strategic ties with China. That's a piece that's very interesting. You should read. There's something Jude will like. Trump blasts Fed Chair Powell, saying his termination cannot come fast enough. More trending news. U.S.-Somali airstrike as battle rages for key town. In the Ashanti region, investigations underway to determine cause of water shortage, as according to the Ghana Water Limit. But this one, we all know that is Galamsey. MPP cautions members against endorsements and attacks ahead of flag bearer race. And Chalok slams Kumasi mayor over decongestion threats.
And on citynewsroom.com, failure to condemn police attacks in Bawku threatens stability. That's coming in from the Mamprugu overlord. Also here, new electricity tariffs irresponsible, show economic mismanagement. That's coming in from INSEA. Also here, Mahama, Ghana's recovery lies in truth, unity, and shared sacrifice. Unpredictable water rationing disrupts daily life in Sekendi, Takrade. Our vice president, who is away resting, has been speaking because it's Easter, and she is called for unity, fairness in Easter message that was posted on her social media handles. PURC board chairman, Prof. Thomas Akapza, confirmed dead, as you brought us earlier, and also scores arrested over Pakistan KFC attacks sparked by Gaza war protest. Apak has been speaking. He's our deputy education minister, and he says first-year tertiary students will no longer receive direct refunds. In the western region, police have arrested 26 in Galamsey crackdown near Samreboy, and also 2025 cool paragliding, over 200 expected to fly. You know, that's an interesting thing we're talking about when we started the show. And you have any other headlines for us?
So I'm on graphic.com.gh. Some of the stories you'll find there. President Mahama preaches sacrifice, love, and unity at Good Friday Miracle Service. Vice President Opoku Ajimai calls for unity, compassion in Easter message. Ahanta West MP launches initiative to introduce Ahanta language in schools. 100 days of President Mahama, the faces behind the early gains. Ghana National Fire Service intensifies measures to curb market fires. NSA releases PIN codes for 18,011 nurses, midwives for 2025-2026 service year. National Chief Imam condemns violence in Bawku, calls for de-escalation and national unity. EOCO arrests 219 foreign nationals in major cybercrime and human trafficking busts.
Some other stories on the Ghana News Agency website, journey.org.gh. President Mahama launches 1 million coders initiatives, urges youth to own it. Also here, President Mahama's diplomacy to reintegrate Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger to ECOWAS receives plaudits. The Foreign Affairs Minister has been speaking. He says governments to facilitate the safe return of U.S. deportees. ECOWAS extends invitation to Alliance of Sahel States on security humanitarian spheres. The Lands Minister has also been in the news over the recent Dalmine issues, and he says Dalman mines return to state oversight marks critical step in Ghana's economic reset. MPP 2024 election defeat. Prof. Michael Kwe committee presents report to National Council. You know, and Hunsem Bebri.
That report that we will never see, but the recommendations
you might never
are
know.
the
So,
ones that we'll see.
Apparently, so Ahiagba said that it won't be made public.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, Haruna Mohammed, he said that now there's been like another team tasked to assess the details of it, some of which may be made public.
May.
In different shapes and forms. And I interviewed really Dr. Osai Kwapon, who's a CDD research fellow, on the move by the NPP at the time, as we knew it, by Richard Ahiagba, not to make it public. And he shared some really interesting views. He said that, see, it's important that you need to communicate to your party base some of the reasons why the election didn't go down too well. If you set up a committee, the least you can do is to make the report, somewhat known or partially known, And he has some interesting thoughts around that. He'll be on the big issue later today, and I'm sure this issue will be up for discussion again. But Dr. Osai, who's with the Internal Audit Agency, has left his role. And I remember going for an event where he was speaking. It was a Ghana Scout Service event together with Shrash, and he had a chance to speak, and he was just lamenting how the political class, right, know what to do when it comes to issues around adhering to procurement laws, ensuring that there's value for money in contract negotiations and all of that. But, he said he sounded like a broken record.
because he's reiterated it several times.
Speaking, but it looks like we know what to do, but we deliberately just don't want to do it, right? So he's departed the Internal Audit Agency, not too sure what the reasons are, but he's definitely served his dues or paid his dues, if you say. And the Catholic bishops have also been speaking on Easter, and they said that Easter is a call to higher moral standards, right? So that's also a big story on the GNA.org. I don't know if you have any other headlines.
I'm on GhanaWeekend.com. Some of the stories you'll find: Abigail Ashley becomes first Ghanaian woman to fly at 2025 Kwahu Paragliding Festival. I'm surprised that that's, since we started Kwahu, this is the first time a woman has, taken part in the paragliding.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She becomes first Ghanaian woman.
That's shocking. So there have been other women from different
foreign, yeah. But she's the first Ghanaian woman to fly. I'll go and be the second Ghanaian woman. They're scared.
No, they like the fufu more. They like the fufu more. So they would like to do it over fufu some way. Yeah, so if they didn't eat the fufu.
Most people like to feel the earth beneath their feet, and they're okay with that, rather than to go through the air and try. But I'd actually like to try paragliding.
Really?
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, you are adventurous, so I'm not even surprised you.
I'll definitely do this
like
next year. Next year I'll be there.
Amazing.
So yeah, Abigail Ashley becomes first Ghanaian woman to fly at 2025 Kwahu Paragliding Festival. Kwabena releases an all-gospel EP titled God of Restoration.
Kwabena.
Yes, so...
Kwabena.
Yeah.
The Kwabena you know.
Yellow fingernails.
Adult music,
Adult music.
We need to vet the lyrics.
Oh
yes. You need to vet the lyrics. If it's the same Kwabena,
It's the same Kwabena.
To be fair, he has gospel songs, right?
I think one.
That I remember. Is it a gospel song or is it an inspirational song?
Or it's inspirational. But gospel is inspiration, or there's a difference.
Gospel is communicating something. It's sending a message. Inspiration is just trying to motivate, right? But gospel,
really?
You are telling the message.
You
are telling the death and the resurrection power. You say it's called what? God of
God
Restoration.
of Restoration.
No, come now.
We need to. We'll listen to it.
I have to listen first before we play it on the show, if we ever play it.
All right, other stories you'll find on GhanaWeekend.com. Okay. The Saint in the Devil's Shoes exposes corruption's impact on Ghana's development. Shop win conquer at Dulcie Boateng's Port Isles Pitch 2. Davido releases 5th studio album, 5. Burna Boy set to make history at France's 100K capacity Stade de France. Who is doing things? Selling out stadiums and things.
Charlie.
Mr. Beast apologizes after horrible Las Vegas event. Kafui Danku dismisses petition for her removal as NFA boss as baseless. Cheryl Lee Ralph honored with star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was in Ghana recently. Lil Wayne vows never to perform at Super Bowl after 2025 halftime show snub. Ghanaian carpenter and influencer Amma Endorse dies at 29.
May her soul rest in perfect peace.
MTN Ghana confirms removal of 1% e-levy on Momo transactions.
I know.
Yeah.
Is it a good time to delve into some of the headlines?
Yes, definitely.
I have with me the citynewsroom.com. Failure to condemn police attacks in Bawku threatens stability. That's coming in from the Mamprugu overlord. Excerpts of the story read: the overlord of Mamprugu, now Bohagu Mahama Abdullahi Shiriga, has raised concerns over the ongoing violence in Bawku, lamenting the lack of strong condemnation against those attacking security personnel and state property. Speaking after receiving a formal briefing from the Bawku Nabana, Shiriga Alhaji Seidu Abagre, in a statement read on his behalf at a presser, the overlord expressed deep sorrow over reports of continued hostilities despite directives from President John Mahama and Otunfo urging peace and mediation. He condemned the unlawful acts committed by certain Kusasi youth, including arson, destruction of state property, and threats against security personnel, warning that these developments have deeply alarmed the people of Mamprugu. Of particular concern, the overlord criticized the recent visit of the Inspector General of Police to Bawku, stating that it lacked balance and seriousness. He lamented that no strong warnings were issued against those instigating the violence and expressed disappointment that fallen officers were not duly honored for their sacrifice. So that's the big story from Bawku on the citynewsroom.com. And we have some stories for us.
Yes. I'm on ChannelOneNews.com. I think the story came in this dawn. Medina Redco Flats fire destroys 150 structures and claims the life of a young woman. And if you see the picture, all you see is smoke. So raging fire swept through Medina Redco Flats late last night, leaving over 150 structures completely destroyed and claiming the life of a young woman. The inferno broke out at 11:15 p.m., consuming 140 wooden structures and 20 metal containers used for residential and commercial purposes. Firefighters from Medina Fire Station rushed to the scene within 2 minutes, receiving backup from Adenta, Legon, Abelimpe, and headquarters to battle the rapidly spreading flames. Despite their swift response, the fire had already reached an advanced stage, making containment difficult. However, firefighters successfully confined the blaze by 12:02 a.m. and managed to fully extinguish it by 2:22 a.m. Sadly, a Nigerian woman known as Beauty, believed to be in her early 20s, was trapped in the fire and could not escape. Her charred remains have been handed over to the Medina Police for preservation and further investigation. Officials are reportedly evaluating the extent of damage and probing the cause of the fire as affected residents and business owners struggle to come to terms with their losses. And there's a video attached to the story, so you can go to ChannelOneNews.com. The one is the digit 1, and go and read that story. You know, anytime the fire service says they're doing investigations, we never know the outcome of those investigations.
That's a very good point to raise.
Yeah.
You know, they never come back to the media to fully brief or do like a debriefing of all that happened.
Yeah,
right?
I think they should take that into consideration. Come and tell us what happened so that we know what not to do next time. And these are all wooden structures and metal containers, so yeah.
Wow.
I hope they won't go and rebuild quickly, because I mean, people need, you know, a place to lay their heads and all of that, but hopefully they'll take their time.
Absolutely.
All right. You have any stories?
Yes, the president has been speaking. It was yesterday's Good Friday event by Pastor or Bishop Doug Hardwood Mills. I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. The big headline story by our presidential correspondent Akosia Ochi reads: Ghana's recovery lies in truth, unity, and shared sacrifice. President Mahama. So Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama has called on Ghanaians to embrace the spirit of Easter by working together to revive the country's struggling economy and rebuild national hope. Delivering his Easter message on Friday, April 18, Mahama stressed that unity, resilience, and truth are the key ingredients for national restoration. The president's address, steeped in both faith and patriotism, urged Ghanaians to draw inspiration from the resurrection of Christ and channel that strength into overcoming economic hardship and social discouragement. Mr. Mahama's message comes at a time when many Ghanaians are grappling with high inflation, unemployment, and a general sense of uncertainty about the country's direction. He remained optimistic that Ghana could overcome its current challenges through collective action. And also in the story, the Vice President, Prof. Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, and also in a Facebook post on April 18, extended a heartfelt Easter message to Ghanaians, where she encouraged citizens to use the season as an opportunity to renew their commitment to building a kinder and fairer nation. I think these are just calls, together with the Catholic bishops' call for, a heightened or an elevated sense of moral standards, right? Because a lot of the time we look at reports or we look at data, that speaks to the fact that a significant number of Ghanaians are Christians or profess the Christian faith. And you wonder why corruption, and all of these vices continue to persist in sometimes unimaginable ways, right? So, for example, look at the Auditor General's report. Go through these offices. Some of them, a number of them, a significant number of them will be like church-going, tithe-paying, tongue-speaking Christians, right? And of course, Muslims too.
Penny to them.
Yeah, some of them are even pastors, we are told, right? The point is not to denigrate the faith, but the point is to say that we need to do better as a people if we are saying that we are Christians. And I'm sure a lot of these corruptions we see in public institutions will be, significantly brought down. Look at the Ridge Hospital story, for example. It's just disheartening sometimes. And I wouldn't say only Christians, because you also see people of other faith also involved sometimes. So the point is that, let's reflect, right, with this period. 2 holidays, you're not going to work. You probably go for a Good Friday service, you go for Resurrection Sunday. What does it mean to you, personally? For me, Easter is a season that talks about faith, that talks about hope, because we hope in the resurrection of Christ, right? And the fact that it's also a season for us to have like that deep, self-reflection period, right? And let's align our deeds to our faith. And I'm sure if we do that, we'll be better off as a country, because some of the things we read about and hear about in the news, it doesn't make for pleasant reading. So shout outs to the Catholic bishops, your people.
We take them.
I saw on foreign media that was the first time the Catholic Church, had a Good Friday service without a Pope physically present in a very long time. In
Rome.
In Rome, exactly. So, and in Ghana, the Catholic bishops are also telling us that let's raise the moral standards. We should be able to feel the pain that, there's no, the system is so broken, right? And there's no conscience. The conscience is seared. But sometimes, corruption, somebody equated corruption to murder. And in a lot of ways, it's true. Because if you're in a hospital and you are taking a kickback or you are taking some money somewhere to give a favor, it is people's life at risk. So I hope we see things differently and we begin to act differently starting from this Easter season, right? And like I said, we should align our faith with our deeds, and we'll be better off as a people.
Thank you for the preaching. This is the word of the Lord.
It's a powerful, it's a message. I hope we hear it. I hope we listen to it.
Thanks be to God. And the Catholic Church will say, thanks be to God. Thank you for that.